I do really believe 100% from every part of me that everyone has the capacity to be able to do the things that they want and not to be held back by the mental baggage that's in our head that we want to push through.
Welcome to the Do the Thing podcast. In each episode, we get down and personal with people who go after the things they want to make all their wildest dreams come true. Join us as we unveil and dissect a formula for what it takes to do the thing. Here is your host, Stacey Lauren.
Hi, everyone. I am so excited with our guest today. I have Alex with Be Organizing. Hi, Alex.
Hi, Stacey. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I'm so excited to have you on because you helped me during a crazy time when I was in the middle of moving, and your company actually helped me structure my life in a way that got me to do so much more. And through talking to you recently, I realized you are like perfect for the podcast because you have been just really doing the thing, throughout many years, and then even more so from what I heard from the last couple of years. So anyway, I just wanted to go ahead and have you introduce yourself and tell everyone who you are, and then we can get into all the good stuff.
Perfect. So my name is Alex Brzozowski. Like Stacey mentioned, I own and founded Be Organizing. We used to provide a lot of home organizing services and digital organizing, but we recently have made the switch to solely offering digital organizing services. So we help people with email and photos and, you name it, files, documents, anything on your computer that can be organized, we can help you with. And my background, a little bit about myself, is I come from Detroit, Michigan. I moved to San Diego after college. I thought I was going to go into law, and I actually did work at a law firm for a few years. And then I decided I wanted to start a company to help people get organized because I saw so much of our clients at the law firm I was at struggle with that, and just thought it was something I was good at and that I could help a lot of people with. And that's where I am today.
Yeah, that's amazing. So pretty much just from your job at the law firm, you saw a big need from the people that were working there and were like, wait, I'm actually good at this. And then that's kind of where the company was born.
Absolutely. It is.
That is so cool. That is so cool. So where did your organizing come from? How are you that way, Alex? Tell us your secret.
Yeah, I know, right? So one thing, I did not grow up, well, let me put it this way. I realized looking back now that my family on both sides, they are actually very organized, and I never really noticed it because it was always just the way it was. And then as I grew older, I always had everything put away. I didn't like anything out in my room. Like I can distinctly remember like my room just having nothing on the floor. Everything had a place. And and we never had too much stuff either. I remember like my mom having me go through things and weed it out. So it just kind of was part of the life. And then once I started really working, like starting my career in the legal world, I then got really acquainted to how to digitally organize. I worked at a 100% paperless law firm. So it was fascinating because this was back in 2008, and that's unheard of for back then, especially for law firms who are still struggling to go paperless today. So really got to see how organizing your digital information is so, like, it can be done so simply if you don't overcomplicate it, and just it can be the most basic thing. And what also was fascinating to me was that I came from a giant law firm. I worked there for 1 year, and then I moved to a smaller one, and I was there for 4 years. And both of them, like, size didn't matter. They organized pretty much the same way. So that was another thing too, that it's like, it doesn't really matter your size. It just always goes back to the basics and just a simple, uncomplicated process. So I really grew and understood it, and I loved it. Like, I kind of became the, I don't want to say Nazi, but like kind of like the, hey, you didn't put this in the right place. Like, I'm going to get it, like, you have to file name it like this and make sure to update the notes. And I was really on it for that. And because I saw the benefit, and I saw the benefit not just for us internally, but our clients as well, because we were able to provide a better service for them.
So, like, when you would walk in a room, would people like run away from you?
I know. No, I never was an OCD, like not OCD, but I've never been somebody to like put it on other people. Like, I'm just like, oh, it's just kind of the way it is. I have no judgment. I don't take that on myself per se. Like, I want to help, but ultimately I'm like, you do you. And if that, whatever works for you is what I'm happy with for you. So
yeah, you really meet people where they're at, which I think is a huge thing, especially when you're doing this type of role, because people feel I'm speaking for myself, where I've gone unorganized, and you feel incompetent, right? And so you kind of take that pressure away from them and make them feel like it's okay. This is kind of step one. Thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. There's no judgment. And I mean, we really come in with an open mind as well. And everybody thinks differently, and we have to try to capture that, and then create a system that works for them based on that.
Yeah. So walk us through like the moment that you're at the law firm, you're organizing everyone, you're like even editing like file names, which I think is great. And then you're like, wait, I actually this is what I want to do. So what did that look like?
Yeah, so this is there was many things going on at one time, and I distinctly remember working on one client project that was going on at the same time that the law firm that I was at was kind of restructuring. So I was working on this project where we did estate planning. That was one of the things, and then estate administration. So once somebody passed away, we would have to settle their estate per se. And so I was gathering all the information, and this person that passed away, they literally just had a file cabinet, and their kids had no idea what they had. So we physically went to the home and took the file cabinet to our office. I had to scan it all in. I had to figure out what accounts were open, what wasn't open, and seeing that and just how much the client was struggling with helping us and wanting to help us, because she wanted to save money, and it was taking so much longer because of it. And meanwhile, there was a bunch of things going on in her personal life. So it's just a lot. And so seeing that, and then I also dabbled a lot in business law, and I got to see businesses do not have all their stuff together. It was shocking about things that they needed from us that wasn't done properly, or whatnot, like documents that were required by law and whatnot. So seeing those two things, and then at the same exact time, I kind of, went as far as I could in my position. And really the next step was, okay, I could look into management. And my bosses at the time, they were reading this book called Leading with Questions, and making sure everybody was on the right seat on the bus. So we all took this personality test. Maybe most people have heard of it, the Myers-Briggs test. And I took it. Yeah. And so that one, I took it, and I realized that, I am never going to be fully fulfilled in where I am. Solely because I like to teach, I like to collaborate, and in the law firm environment, there is some collaboration, but ultimately I'm in front of my computer by myself, working on research or drafting documents and things of that nature. And so talking to each other and building relationships wasn't so much of a big thing. So right. I was like, happening at the same time that this big project was going on. And I thoroughly just saw the benefits of having organized information in files and in the digital aspect as well, not just physically. And so that was, and then I read a quote. That's what it was. And I forget what the quote is right now. Oh, I know. It said, if you don't start a business, somebody else will hire you to get to their dream business or whatever. And it was something like that.
Oh my gosh. I love that.
Yeah, it was some sort of quote like that. And that, so it was just like that all happened within a very short time frame. So it was kind of, everything kind of aligned into where I was like, I could do something. And being my, come to find out, organized self, as I was learning about myself during this process, I created a pro-con list, like what I was looking for, what kind of services do I like and that I want to give, and how could I collaborate. And that's how the idea of organizing came about. And specifically, I wanted to do digital organizing when I first started, but back then, that was new. That was a newer thing. So I added home organizing as well so that people, I could kind of get my feet wet with that. So, yeah.
That's smart because it like sort of kind of got you, like you said, getting your feet wet, where you're like building the relationship. And then the digital one, you're kind of like building that up now where, like in terms of like after you already had that existing relationship. Whereas now it's easy because you have all these people under your belt and you're masters at it. But in the beginning, I'm sure it helped a lot.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. And it was really cool too, because there's an association called NAPO for short, National Association of Productivity and Organizing Professionals. And I joined that chapter and I was able to shadow some home organizers. So that also, because nobody's doing digital organizing. So that was one way that I could learn from them as well, besides just reading books and whatnot, just kind of having like a solid technique, learning that from them. So that was also super helpful when I first started.
Yeah, that would be great to be able to learn from people that are already doing what you want to do, essentially. And then coming up with a system, that's your own, but also, like being able to take parts of theirs that you liked. Also.
Yes, absolutely.
So what, like, walk me through like your, like the moment, like, did you keep your job and then you did this like on the side, or did you just quit your job and said, I'm doing it? Like, what was that like for you?
Yeah. So I had a contract with them through, it was like the end of May 2013. And so what I did was I just started it on the side beforehand in 2012. And I just kind of, I didn't work obviously during normal office hours, but I was working on it around then. So after work, or I would go to, like work on the weekend and, build a website and just do research. And I remember I was meeting with a friend to help me at one point. So I was still doing both. And then once my contract ended, I jumped 100% into the business. I did not go back. I haven't looked back since. I've only been doing this and building this. And I think that's also what helps with the business as well, like grow, is that I was so committed to it. So from the beginning, that was very helpful.
Yeah. So were you at any point, were you like scared, or what went through?
Oh, yeah.
Like, how was that?
Oh yeah, I was very scared. I would say, at that time, I didn't realize I was doing this, but I kind of put the blinders on. So I think of like the horse blinders, where it's like you're just looking straight ahead of you and not thinking of what's around you. And that's honestly what got me through it, was that I just did it without thinking about it. Like I thought about it in like the, what's smart, but like don't think about what, like just kind of let those fears be on the sides and don't let them take center stage kind of thing. So I was just not looking at them like, because I used to be really scared of presenting, and that kind of comes with the territory. And then getting in front of clients, like meeting them at their homes, in their environment was also extremely scary at first. And especially, I had no idea what I was really doing at the beginning. Nobody really does. And so it was really just building that confidence over time. But I kind of, that whole fake it until you make it, I kind of did that. But ultimately, I just looked right in front of me, and it's like, okay, I'm here to help the person. I'm here to just organize and don't think about what they're thinking of me. Don't think about anything else. Look for it as. So
I love
come up. Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, I was going to say, I love that idea. And I think you're about to answer my question, but that idea of just like putting blinders on, and then you're almost like doing your own self-talk so that it like keeps you with the blinders on. So you're able to just keep moving forward without looking back, essentially.
Yes. Yeah. And I still have to do it to this day, where I have to, because you have to get out of your comfort zone, right? So getting out of your comfort zone means really just, it was one of my coaches said to me that your fear is your body, your mind trying to protect you based on past experiences or just the unknown or whatever it is. And so just to kind of acknowledge that, but then know that it's okay to let that go too, because it's not true. So just a really different way of looking at it. And I mean, it's something that I think as entrepreneurs, as business owners, we have to constantly get over every time we make a big shift, every time there's a big change, anytime there's, I know that I struggle with the scarcity mindset and having to overcome that, which is really scary, and really, because I didn't grow up with anything else. So I have to learn all that now and continue to, change my mindset. So it will happen. It's a constant thing.
Yeah, actually, that's amazing that you are aware of that, with the scarcity mindset. So what's kind of the thing that's been helping you move forward with that? I'm thinking you're kind of trying to go to abundance mindset.
Yes, I am.
That's my assumption.
Yes, abundance. And I mean, I have these little Post-it notes around my monitor right now. It's like, I always have an overflow of money in my bank account. And one of the so I've had to do a lot of shifting and just kind of letting things go and addressing it, also realizing that, just kind of letting that energy go and then shifting my energy and holding that energy instead of the energy of scarcity. So I've been, my new saying right now is I am joyfully expecting and easily adding clients every month and to hit my goals, and that it's already done, even if it's not evident in my, forefront face right now. But it always does show up, even it's like I had a really, I can't tell you my times there's been so many lows. I'm sure you've experienced this as well, is, you're just like, I don't know how the business is going to survive this. COVID happened and then other things happened and whatever it is. And I was constantly questioning, how am I going to get through this? And all of a sudden it will just I just would shift it. I would acknowledge that feeling, shift it, and then things just started happening. And this happened every single time. Even if it's not in my time frame.
Yeah. When you say acknowledge the feeling and shift it, so what is that? How are you doing that?
Yeah, that's actually a new thing that I'm doing, because I realized that before I wasn't acknowledging it, and so I was just pushing it down, and then that made me feel anxious, come to find out. So what I started doing was journaling what that feeling is, what the feeling is, what the thought was, what can be changed about it, what's not true about it, and then writing what I would do differently, and just kind of, it's really just writing it out and then changing, writing out my new thought. And
it's
so
like you're naming it. You're naming it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my thing. Name it, tame it.
Yes, exactly. Yes, exactly. Yeah. And it did, and it has been working for me. And so that's been really good. That's a totally new thing that I didn't realize. I was just pushing it down so much because I was like, nope, I can't think that way. Nope, I can't think that way. And it's like, okay, now I'm anxious. Why am I anxious? And it's like, oh, because I'm not acknowledging my feelings. So that part was big. And then shifting from there. So changing what I'm saying to myself, changing what I say to other people. I also write down, I'm doing this challenge right now where I write down my statement 55 times for 5 days in a row. It is a lot. It takes a lot of time. You think 55 times, you're like, oh, that's not a big deal. And then it's like 3 pages of notes, and, and constant writing. So, but it does help. It's just kind of, you're constantly repeating it in your mind. And I'll even wake up and do affirmations, just anything to help and stay in my mind, get in that energy of, it's already done, it's here, I'm excited, just putting myself in that place.
Yeah, so it almost sounds like with you doing the thing, right, is really a mindset shift and then the blinders. So it's a combination of that constant mindset, between affirmations, self-talk, acknowledging your feelings, and then having those blinders on so you see what's in front of you and not looking back.
Absolutely. Yep. And then I would say also is systemizing, like having our own internal systems and processes and constantly changing those things and tweaking them to improve them, creating new ones is another thing that I'm constantly working on.
Yeah. Could you talk a little bit more about that with the internal systems?
Yeah. So, for example, we want to be able to give clients, like I think I was sharing this with you recently, actually, Stacey, was, we want to help our clients, but they also need to know how we work, and we can tell them all day long, but it's really nice to have like a welcome packet to just have, this is our process. Here's how you can contact us. Here's what kind of you can expect from us and what we expect from you, and the different levels of how they can be involved and just how that affects the process. So really, having even, like, I know that seems like not a system, but it is in the sense of, okay, the client hires us, we need to provide them something besides just the service agreement, which goes over all the terms and everything, but it's like this kind of gives them the knowledge, even more knowledge than we already gave them, and easily readable too, so that they can work better with us and we can help them better. So that's one example. Another example is client feedback. We've been improving that as well. Just recently, we implemented a automatic email to be sent out after every single session. It just started last week, or earlier this week, actually. I just turned it on this Monday.
Oh,
so
nice.
Now it just happened. So now, soon after each session is completed, the client will now receive an email asking for their feedback and sharing with them our referral program that we have for them so that they're aware. So it's just kind of a constant thing that we want to get their feedback. We want that open line of communication with them. So implementing those type of things, which I didn't, one of those where when it was just myself, I didn't think about it so much because I would just get feedback then and there when I was working with clients. But as soon as you start having a team, not everybody is you, so you have to build those systems in.
Yeah, definitely. And it's amazing because now that you have the systems, that's usually what a lot of companies have, that bottleneck to growth, and the systems are what really, in that proper organization. It helps everyone talk to each other. It helps everyone know the expectations. So, I mean, it's great that's your biggest strength, right? But then also that you're doing it within the company. For sure.
Exactly.
Okay. So I really wanted to talk about COVID because I think that it's so easy to see, and I'm thinking character, like the company's character, your character, everything, when like things are at the hardest and like what comes from it, right? And it's like, you know, like when people are at their worst, you see they're either worst or best. When people are at the best, you see the worst or, you know, it's kind of like that. It makes you more of what you are. And I think that was what was so impressive to me. Like I was already really impressed when I met you and we talked and we kind of built this like relationship. But then when I saw you again, like kind of recently, right, where I'm asking you now to help me with my digital stuff since I've got a few different projects going and I want to make sure everything's organized digitally too.
Right.
And you were telling me about like the COVID, kind of what came from COVID. I just was like, oh my gosh, like that is exactly what like people need to hear, because I think it's so easy to fall into, you know, why can't I, or this isn't good. So anyways, if you can just talk a little bit about that would be great.
Yeah. So COVID hit and 60% of business was gone overnight. I'm sure I'm not a story that's new, but, it did happen. And it was something that I thought to myself, you know, well, I've lost everything that I can lose, like lost in terms of, you know, paying myself every month and doing, you know, it took me so long to build that up. And having that, especially because I started with nothing, right? Like it was just me. I never got a loan, nothing. So I then lost that consistency, and I did have a savings, but it was like, okay, I'm going to do what I want to do with this, because what I wanted to do, I can still do, which was focus on the digital organizing. And specifically, I also created a course during this time. Like I created a digital photo organizing course. And because I've done that so many times for people that it was like, man, I can do this in my sleep now. It takes a long time, don't get me wrong, but this is something that other people want to learn about as well. So I created that and then started shifting to digital organizing and utilizing, because before we were going to homes, even to go on people's computers. So we weren't doing things remotely then. We were still meeting in person, even when we could have been doing it remotely. Our clients at the time were just not ready for it. So now with COVID, it was like another opportunity. So I just took it and kind of started hinting to clients that we're not going to, like, for digital organizing, we are not coming to your home. And then, like, over time, I finally got the courage to be like, you know what? I don't think we want to do physical home in-person organizing now. Like, that is just not something I think we need to be doing. I think we can really make this our niche. So really, and there was nothing for me to be scared of because I already lost everything. So what I was scared about before making these decisions was that not paying myself, not having that consistent cash flow, not being able to pay the bills, you know, there's that scarcity mindset that I struggle with. And then it was like, well, shoot, I lost it all. It already happened. There's literally nothing else. Like there's nothing else like to lose. Like, what do I have to lose now? Let's just do it. And it has been the best decision I've made. I've grown my team, doubled it. So I had one organizer before. I don't have another organizer yet. I am looking, but I hired an executive assistant to help with all the admin tasks and just the day-to-day billing type things, and also a business development specialist who does our initial assessment, so meets with new clients. So I started removing myself from the day-to-day operations per se, and I love what I'm doing now. It's really in alignment with who I am and how I want to spend my time. And because I always wanted to just do the business stuff. I love it. I love the big picture things and the strategy and the team. That's where I thrive. So, and really coming into a leadership role too, because this is the COVID time as well. I was just thinking about this too, is that I was the president of the National Association of Project and Organizing Professionals the San Diego chapter when COVID hit as well. And so everybody was looking at me being like, what are we going to do now?
Right.
And
you're like the one everyone's like counting on.
Yes, exactly. And, them being super organized, they want to know, it's like, gotta have an answer. And, so it was like, all right, we got to come up, like, let's sign up for Zoom. Let's get all this transferred over. Let's get, and it kind of opened up our realm of who we could have to speak at our chapter meetings. And because now time difference didn't matter, where they lived didn't matter, as long as they could show up, like our guests and stuff. So that really expanded even not just my business, but also the chapter of NAPO. So just a lot of transitions and a lot of like, well, let's just going to go for it. Put those blinders back on. I kind of felt like I was rebirthing my business in a way, even though we had already have somewhat of a solid base to start with. So that was good.
Yeah. So what got you when you were like, you lost your cash flow, right? What got you to keep going and to not then say, okay, well, I guess I got to get a job now?
Yeah. I had support. I had savings. I saved because I was such so I felt like I could be okay for a while. And, thankfully I am my husband now. I was with him. So like, I didn't have to worry about rent so much. Like we were okay. We really sat down and looked at our finances and everything. So that also, was something. And I was like, I kind of looked at him and I'm like, do you really like, it's either me go get a job somewhere or I'm going to just, go, harder on this, which I already was dedicating my time to this, and it's like, well, of course I'm going to choose this. Like I can't imagine going back to a job anymore. It's just, I don't even know what I would do. I mean, I do, but it's like, I feel like everything that I've learned, like, I mean, could you imagine? It would be just a huge shock for me. I feel like maybe not. Maybe I'm.
Yeah, no, it's great though. It's part of those blinders, right? You're like, I'm making it work.
Yeah.
I've got this. And then it sounds like your husband's supportive, which is amazing. So,
Yeah. And I even jumped into a coaching program in the beginning of 2021, which was not cheap. I'm still paying it off, but it's like, go big or go home. If I'm doing it, 2 feet are in.
Yeah.
Like you can't have 1 foot out and 1 foot in. You have to have both feet in if you want it to work. And I heard somebody, I think it was the same business coach that actually said this to me, was that the people who don't have a plan B always make plan A work. So having it's like just sticking, like if you don't have another option, you're going to find a way. Like if it's pivoting, if it's changing something, whatever it is, you're going to find it and make it work. So that is kind of where I've always put myself in that position of there's no backup. This is it. So not even giving myself that option most of the time. I give it to my husband, of course, because I want him to know that I'm not, financially want to be responsible. When times are hard, but ultimately, like when I'm, I'm really thinking, nope, I don't want a plan B. That's not an option for me.
Yeah.
So
I think that's amazing. Yeah, no, I think that's really great. Wow, I have like so many more questions about that, but I think I was trying to keep it under a certain amount, so I'm like, well, I'll keep going with my
you're good.
That's so amazing. I just think it's so important to like also have a mentor, to like also help keep out of your head, because it's easy to go sideways, right? If you don't have someone that you're able to like really count on. To be able to keep you like in that right mindset, essentially, So it sounds like the coaching program is a big thing for sure.
Huge. It's actually, I think about that too, because it really does keep me in that space of, you know, this is it. And also keeping me in the space of what I'm trying to do and keeping me accountable for that. Because I was doing, like, I started creating this program and all this stuff. And I was telling, like the group that I'm in and the business coaches and everything, like they lead it. And there's like 20 other CEOs that are part of it. So it's great because we all get to collaborate with each other and talk to each other and support each other. And I was like, you know, I want to do this program, and and my business coach looked at me and she's like, over Zoom, of course. She's like, how much of that is going to add to your time every week? And I was like, I don't know, like a couple hours, you know, probably every week. She goes, and we're trying to lessen your hours that you spend doing this type of thing. So why is this a good idea? I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, you know, even though it was something that could, you know, give more value to a customer or to like it was something for the course that I was going to do. And she's like, yeah, but that's not the point. Like, the point is that they should then hire you to work with somebody, not add to your time and having to be like, that's kind of counterintuitive to what you're going towards. You know, you want to be the CEO, stay in the CEO role. So really keeping that, and just, it completely shifted my mindset over and over again. So now I'm like, nope, I'm not doing that. Or I am going to do, you know, like I say, my yes and no's are on what I'm doing and not doing are very, they're easier now and more.
Yeah. And it's great because like, it's so easy, especially as an entrepreneur, we want to do everything and it's so easy to get sidetracked. So yeah, to have someone that can help you kind of like guide you is amazing. Okay. So I have another question. So we just had the Super Bowl, I think it was last weekend.
Yes.
And I'm curious, I'm not going to ask you who you wanted to win or any of those questions, but let's just say your life this year had a Super Bowl in it. What would that be for you?
Ooh, I would say, like, in terms of my business, like in terms of like,
you know, it actually could be, it could be anything. It could be your business. It could be personal. Like what would mean like, wow, I really like, I won the Super Bowl, you know?
Getting married. Yeah, that one. And then in terms of business, it was, hiring the 2 additional team members, game changer, and having them step up to the plate. Game changer in terms of business. So personal life, I would say my wedding for sure.
Yeah.
We got married in 2020 legally, but we didn't have our reception and our official, like, kind of like the long form ceremony until September 2020 or August 2021. And it happened to be right before Delta kind of came in full swing, and we were in like a lull. So it was like perfect timing, and everything was outdoors. So, and I couldn't have been. So like, it was exactly what we wanted. Just exactly. So that was a big one that stood out.
Yeah.
For anything.
That's amazing. What about for you this year? What would be your Super Bowl this year?
Oh, you know, it goes back to my personal, I think my business now, like I'm trying to make my business more my, like final, instead of being so, like a slave to my business, being like having my personal life take priority more so. So I'm setting more time, like I'm trying to take off more days every single month. Whereas before I was working 8 to 10 o'clock at night, and I would literally be at 3 different clients' house in one day, starting at 8 I'd be driving home at 10 o'clock at night. And I did that for years. And I'm like, why? I don't ever want to do that again. Like I started this business, part of the reason, besides to like help others in organizing and that I enjoyed all that, but also to give myself the freedom and flexibility. So it really translates into my personal life. So it will be planning our honeymoon. It's all around our wedding and stuff. Yeah, we're trying to figure out what that's going to look like. We have some ideas, but we really want to, that's going to be like and you know what? And during that time, also having the business run without me.
Yeah.
So that will be.
Oh, right. Because when you're on the honeymoon, you'll get a good gauge of where the business is at, right?
Exactly. And I have actually found, I don't know if you found this, but when I step back and I get out of the way, like I took off one day this week and we signed up like 3 clients. And it was like, I didn't work today. Like, but it's not about that. It's not about how much you work. It's about being smart with your work and smart with your processes and having the right people on your team, because it's not like they're working full time. They're doing it, like nobody's full time besides me. And even now I'm trying to scale back. So it's fascinating how that works.
It is. It's amazing when, and also it helps when you're able to like step away from the business, because then it gives you more clarity, I think, when you're able to come back to it,
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. So, is there anything that I did not ask you that you wish I'd asked you regarding, let's just say regarding doing the thing and how you've done the thing over and over again?
Let's see. No, not really. I mean, there was like my biggest, I could talk about hurdles all day long. I've had some really big ones. But no, I don't even want to spend time on them when they are, I guess I could, but I would say I had hurdles in terms of business and partners in relationships in that regard, and how that affected. That was just another big, huge event that happened that took a lot of courage and just doing it, putting the blinders on, doing everything you can to get past it. And really what it was I left a relationship, a romantic relationship, and this person was controlling and so wanted to be part of the business. And me being, young and naive was like, I don't want to fight, fine. And having to then, once I left the relationship, undo all that, and especially with who he was, that was the hardest time in my entire life, I would have to say, and in terms of the business as well, because it was like I have to show up for my clients the same way. I need to, be focused on them, which was actually extremely helpful and therapeutic for me at the same time. But it was extremely, it was the lowest of the low for me. So I think that would be another big share.
Yeah, that's hard. Would you say the way that you got through that was that blinders, the self-talk, the affirmations? Was there anything else that you had to do? And sounds like your clients too. Is there anything else you had to do in addition that you think helped you kind of like get through it?
Yes, I had to lean on all my support system. So like my friends, I actually started a business coaching program at that time as well. Because it was like my first business decision without him, because even though he wasn't involved in the day-to-day stuff, like he wanted, when there was ever like a big purchase or any type of program like that, he always, or I felt like I had to ask him for input, and it was the first big decision I made. So it was that. So my friends, another coaching program, and my old boss, I reached out to him to help me, because obviously I came from the legal world. And so therefore I know a lot of legal, a lot of attorneys, and they happen to be either friends, colleagues, or your previous boss. And so, I had to rely and I had to be willing to let everything go at that point so that I could not have a relationship with him, including letting go of the business. So I had to really say, like, I remember my the attorney, my old boss, like him looking at me being like, this is what you get for going into business with him. Like, you knew that he was like this and you chose this. The option that you have, if he's not willing to give it to you, is that you can, because you're still majority owner, you can shut it down. But if you do that, that means you have to rebrand, you have to, do everything. Are you willing to do that? And I had to get to the point where I could say yes. And everything I spent, all the money, all the website, I mean, everything. He was like, you'd have to redo it all because legally you can't, whatever. So that was like a big thing. And I didn't, and thankfully, because I said yes to that, and because that was something that the partner knew, the ex-partner knew would hurt me so much, that was the one thing that's kind of what transitioned and made him sign it over, was me willing to shut it down. Yeah, that was a rough day. I'll never forget that day of having that conversation. Yeah. Like, and even the fact that I had to get attorneys involved. I mean, he shut off my phone. I mean, it was just like one thing after another.
Yeah, and this is such a coincidence that you bring this up, because I was just talking to a friend about this last night, of like, you have to be willing really to like face like the worst possible scenario and be able to accept it, right? And then once you do that, and it sounds like you did that with this, and you also did that with when COVID happened, right? You lost everything, and it's almost like that's a huge part of this. Of you doing the thing, right, is just like coming to terms with losing it and being okay with it.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thanks for sharing that, because I think that's a big piece. Because I think with people listening, like, I want them to understand, like, a lot of people are trapped, right, by fear or like thinking things are too risky. And the more that I can have people like you on, right, where we're able to like see like what is it that gets you past those obstacles, whether they're physical or in your head, the more that they're going to be able to do whatever it is. And whether their thing is opening a business or, going surfing or, like taking a vacation, whatever their thing is, it's like just understanding like that process of how you do it. And I think you really outlined it well. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
thank you
so
much.
Welcome. Yes, thank you.
Where can people find you, Alex? You want to share your stuff?
Yeah.
And also your digital photo program. That sounds awesome.
Yeah. So you can find everything. We also have free resources, like there's some free webinars, some free e-guides on our website, and you can request a complimentary initial assessment. We work with people all over the country and world at this point, as long as the time difference with our organizers work matches all right, in terms of like, it's not in the middle of the night for you. You can go to So B organizing. So B as in boy, E as in elephant, organizing.com. And you'll see on there's a courses page where you can find the digital photo organizing course right at the top menu. And then also the assessment and our free resources are also on that page too. So lots of good information. Oh, and our blog. We put out 2 blogs a month and have a newsletter that goes out every week, and it has a lot of cool information and tidbits here and there that are very helpful to our clients. So we like to do that as well. So check it out.
That's great. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much, Stacey, for having me again.
Yeah, and I'll be talking to you next week. Well, actually, we're talking soon, so I'm getting up with all my stuff.
Yes, we are. We have a session scheduled.
Yeah. All right.
So I will see you soon.
Okay,
all right. Bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening to the Do the Thing podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show, but even more, we hope you'll be inspired to do the thing. Do you have a burning question on doing the thing that you'd like answered? How about an inspiring do the thing story of your own that you'd like to share? We'd love to hear all about it. Just leave us a voice message at dothething.callcast.co or email us at hello@dothethingpodcast.com.